Greetings, YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking about some Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder miniatures. So the first thing I want to talk about is one of the most unusual figure here I have today, and that's this figure, which is some kind of semi-humanoid cat-like creature. And this is an actual lead miniature. I picked it up at a gaming store for $1 in their bargain area. And it's got some decent paint on it. It's intriguing looking. I thought it was unusual. And it was nice to see an actual lead miniature. You don't see many of these anymore. I've got a few in my collection because I was never a huge miniature collector. I mostly used them because they were convenient. And I was never a painter. So whatever I had in my collection that was painted was done by someone else, either because I hired them to do it or because they donated their efforts. Or someone else hired them to paint them and they just happened to leave them at the game table. But this guy's very cool. So he could be used in any number of different environments. I would very much see him in a post-apocalyptic setting, a science fiction setting, or a fantasy setting. Very versatile figure, and it's really nice to get that kind of heft. I left the prices on these guys, so I would be able to remember how much I paid for them. This is a Chateau Hound. Here we go. I kind of like the position of the body. It was a very nice dynamic. It wasn't static in my opinion. Kind of almost turning. And the vibe on this is a very hyena-like. I'm getting that's from the build and the facial structure, the bone structure of the muzzle and everything. I get this very hyena-like vibe, and I really kind of like that. I'm a fan of hyenas. Then we have. And I paid $2 for this one, and this is a Knight of Ozum. It's kind of a knight or paladin. And it was nice because the arms and armor were appropriate. Interestingly, the sword is on the right hip. The Celts did that as well. So not completely out of the blue. And the scale was nice. The weapon looks like a one-handed weapon. The shield looks like the size shield a person would use. The armor looks really functional. The cape has a nice dynamic flare. And overall, it's a nice little figure. And it's a woman, which I think is a nice change of pace. There's so many fighter types you find are men. So I picked this one out specifically because it wasn't just the run-of-the-mill figure. I'm also picking out because I'll probably be using this particular figure in my comparison to other figures to show how they can be used as 25mm at the 25mm scale, because she is 25mm scale and she's a normal human, so that's a good figure to be using as a reference. Okay, next we have a Catoblepas. I don't know how you say that properly. I've never known how to say it properly, not since I first saw them back in 1978, but there you have it. I paid $3 for this figure, and I really like this version of the character, of the monster. The sculpting is beautiful. Those are incredibly cool horns. I love that. The boar-like feature with these large horns, swept back ears. The spikes on the tail are a little weird, because it almost looks like they're coming like on the fur as opposed to being attached to the tail itself. So they'd have to be much larger and you just can't see them. But I think it's an intriguing design, and making the tail quite dangerous. And they're actually fairly pointy. They did a nice job. There's nice. All of these points are well done. They have a nice fine detailing, and these tusks are just beautiful. This is a really nice figure. I was quite impressed when I saw this little chin beard. I thought it was a nice touch as well. It's a very dark figure. It's not a lot of light highlights in this, but that's okay. This isn't a happy, friendly creature. It's a monster. Though, I never thought of them as being overly evil. Mostly like they just wanted to be left alone. They're just doing their thing, and people interfere with them. And when they interfere with them, things usually turn out fairly poorly for the people. And last we have a Durhai. A monster I had never heard of before I found this at the shop where I bought this. And I paid $5 for him because I thought he was well worth the price, because he's an anthropomorphic flying gorilla. This is right in my wheelhouse. This is the kind of thing I love. I love gorilla figures. I always have. And gorilla figures with huge vulture-type wings are awesome. I mean, they're too small to actually get something this big off the ground, but who cares? It's a fantasy game. The sheath was particularly nice. It looks like it actually could be used for a falchion. The sword, the falchion in question is, he's having a ripbell dysfunction there. So I may have to clip something on there to see if I can get the sword to come back to life. So it'll be straight. Let me get one of the paper clips, big square ones, and clip it on there, see if it'll straighten it out a little. But nice detailing. Really an attractive, well-executed figure. I like his little loincloth and his belt. He's got a little pouch on there, which is nice. It's got even got a buckle, which is nice. Good descriptive dynamic face. He's got a necklace on there. Just a really attractive figure, folks. Just beautiful. I guess I looked them up online. Apparently they're like a carnivorous ape. You don't have to use them as carnivorous apes if you don't want to. And I think this is also be usable in a post-apocalyptic game like Gamma World or Mutant Epoch, where you can have over-the-top science fantasy type things, and a flying gorilla is perfectly acceptable in that game and would fit right in. So I think you can use this in that without a problem. And you can use, for example, the Hound would be quite usable, and then, as I said, so could this, and even this thing could, as a steed of some variety, or if someone who wanted a particular challenge, playing a mutant that doesn't have any manipulative members, or has maybe a mental mutation that allows it to pick things up, some form of telekinesis. But these are some really nice little figures. So I didn't invest a whole lot in this, but I got some nice figures. And again, you go to gaming shops, you look at their bargain bins, and you can find some real treasures in there that you can use at your table or just as display because you happen to like it. But this guy is just awesome. I'm really glad I found this guy. Like I said, I'd never heard of him before. How I missed an anthropomorphic gorilla with wings is beyond me. I should have picked it up psychically, and I didn't. But yeah, good figures at good prices. So go to your gaming shops, see what they've got. You might get lucky. And I found these at the Hobby Bunker in Malden, Massachusetts. So anyone in New England, there's a nice selection. Their gaming selection is quite a bit of new stuff, a small section of discount things that I picked through myself. But they have quite a few miniatures there. And they have a large gaming space, and it's a very interesting store because the floor is like a roller coaster. It's a very old building, but yeah, it's a nice little shop. Actually, it's a pretty good sized shop. So if you're into modeling, I mean, like building models, or you're doing historical wargaming, Hobby Bunker is your place, man. They have so much stuff there for wargaming. It was very impressive. So yeah, these have been some D&D miniatures that I think also have some use in other genres.